Hello, I'm Lucy Ainsworth and I work in nursing and midwifery at the National Institute for Health and Care Research. Today I am joined by Dr. Vikki Smith, who is a senior lecturer and a clinical academic midwife sonographer at Northumbria University and Newcastle upon Tyne hospitals to celebrate the International Day of the Midwives. Vikki is also a member of the NIHR 70 at 70 Senior Research Leader Alumni. She has substantial experience of supporting and leading research midwife colleagues. Vikki, thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Thanks very much, Lucy.
We are very pleased to speak with you on this celebratory day, and thank you for your time. Please could you begin by telling us a bit about yourself and what has inspired you to become a research midwife?
Thanks very much, Lucy. As you said, I'm a clinical academic midwife sonographer based in Newcastle. So I have a joint role with a university and a hospital trust. So my time is split across both organisations. And that role involves facilitating undergraduate teaching of student midwives and postgraduate midwives. I support colleagues who are involved in research or are interested in getting involved. So that's something that I'm very passionate about and interested in supporting people irrespective of where they are in their research journeys. And I'm also still involved with clinical midwifery care. So I lead a weekly ultrasound clinic. So life's pretty busy. Yeah, so I've got lots of different aspects to my role. In terms of how I got involved in research, it really was completely by chance. I didn't plan to get involved in research. I would love to say it was a carefully thought out career plan, but it certainly wasn't. I was working in an antenatal clinic care setting, and I had the opportunity to see how a large research study was introduced into that area and how it was carried out. And really, I'm quite inquisitive, I suppose you could say nosy, and I just wanted to find out a bit more about it. I wanted to understand how it worked, what the study was about, what the plans were for the findings. And as a result, I ended up getting involved in working on that study alongside my clinical role, my clinical midwifery role. And once I could see how the findings of that project would help to possibly improve maternity care, I really was hooked on research. I can't say that I was. It was something that I was always passionate about, but once I saw the potential of research and research findings for the provision of maternity care, I really just got involved from there. So I went on then to do a master's, really just to get a good foundation in my research skills and just learn more about it, and then on to a PhD, which took me an inordinate amount of time, but both of those things were really to understand more about how research works and how we do it. So yeah, that's kind of my potted journey of my career into research.
Thank you, thanks for sharing that. Could you tell us a bit about a recent international study that you have worked on?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was really fortunate to be part of a team at Northumbria University who we have worked with two charities, one based in the UK and the other based in India. And myself and a colleague were really fortunate in that we got the opportunity in 2019 to visit an area in the Himalayas called Champawat. And we went around and travelled around to see small sub-centres in rural locations where maternity care was provided by auxiliary nurse midwives. So they were working some of them working in really challenging situations, working predominantly on their own in facilities that were sometimes less than optimum, but really providing a very vital resource and service to the population that they serve. So we worked together to carry out a small study to understand more about the challenges facing the auxiliary nurse midwives in providing maternity care, particularly in relation to the environment in which they were working or they are working, including the facilities, the equipment, the training that they receive, and just really trying to understand more about the factors that hinder or help them in their day-to-day work. It was a really challenging study, as you can imagine, impacted by COVID, because we started the study just as the pandemic was really taking hold in the region. But we had a really brilliant research assistant based in India, who really just was amazing in terms of navigating the challenges around COVID, and she was able to collect the research data that we needed. We also spent a lot of time as a team, both in the UK and with our colleagues in India, discussing how we're going to work through the challenges. And there was quite a long lead up until we actually got the research up and running. So it was a fascinating study to be involved with, really good experience to understand how to work remotely like that, and to work well as a team. So a really interesting project, and we've got some really valuable data that we're still working on, actually. But it was very, very interesting time.
Great, that sounds like a great achievement and something that really interesting to have been part of. How has working on studies changed over the last year?
I mean, I'm sure anybody else who you've interviewed has said the same, Lucy. Obviously, COVID has thrown up some immense challenges to carrying out research. However, it has also provided some really brilliant opportunities, in that I think as researchers we've had to rethink how we work, how we engage people in research, and how we collect data. And I think we've become a lot more used to using remote ways of collecting data. And actually that allows us to engage probably people who we couldn't reach before. So I think whilst, there have obviously been lots of challenges, I think it has changed the way we approach research in some respects, and has actually opened some doors that perhaps we hadn't even realised were there, if that makes sense. I think researchers and staff, support staff, have shown incredible resilience and adaptability in being able to continue to drive forward research. And obviously it has been pivotal in ensuring that we can find our way through the pandemic. I think there's also a lot of support from the general public in terms of what research can do and can offer us, and the value of it, actually. I think that's so lots of challenges, but also, there are always positives to get out of any situation, I think, and there have definitely been some positives as well.
And what are your hopes for the future of research midwifery?
I hope that the opportunities for midwives and maternity staff to get involved in research continue to increase. I think there's excellent progress being made in this area, and I really hope that continues for the benefit of women, birthing people and families, and also for maternity care staff. We know that research is vital for the progression of the midwifery profession, but also for the provision of really high quality maternity care. So I hope that the progress that we're making continues, and that people have an opportunity to get involved in research if that's what they want to do, to whatever level. But I think the future is bright. I think there's lots of progress in the right direction.
Most definitely. So how can midwives get involved in research?
There are lots of ways that midwives can get involved in research, and I could probably talk for about half an hour about that particularly. But I think probably one of the easiest ways is to find out more. So to be inquisitive, be curious, and ask people who are involved in research what they're doing, why they're doing it, and how you can find out more. So there may be research delivery staff in the area that you work, whether they're midwives, nurses, support staff. Ask midwives who are involved in research themselves, who lead research, or medical colleagues, maybe leading research in the area where you work. There might be clinical academics. I know there's not in all areas. Academic staff in universities are a good resource as well. But there's also lots of opportunities to learn more via your trust research lead if you have one, the local clinical research network, NIHR. So there's lots of resources, but it's really helpful if you can find somebody to point you in the right direction, because it's great. We've got lots of opportunities, lots of resources to help you learn more about research. But in some respects, it can be a little bit overwhelming if it's something that you're new to. But lots of people are around to help and support you. So if you're interested, just ask people, and they'll happily answer your questions. If they're not the right person, then they'll point in the direction of somebody who does know. But I suppose the thing that I think is really important is you can get involved in research in lots of different ways and to lots of different degrees. So it may be that you can support research that's already happening in your clinical area. You may have a research question that you just don't know what to do with it. You might see an area of practice that you think, actually, I think that could be better, but I'm not quite sure how to do it myself. And again, there's lots of people who can help and support you with your ideas. It may be just that you just want to find out more, and that's absolutely fine. We need lots of people with lots of different levels of involvement within research within maternity care. So just ask questions, ask people.
Great ideas. Thank you, Vikki. And finally, do you have a final message for research midwives here in the UK and globally on this very special day?
Absolutely. All midwives and maternity care staff and support staff, you are doing an amazing job by supporting research that will improve the care for women, birthing people and their families. So many congratulations and thank you. Keep going with it. You're doing amazing things.
Thank you. Well, it's been a pleasure to capture this discussion and to hear from you today, Vikki. I really appreciate your time. Take care and goodbye.
Thanks very much, Lucy.
Thank you.